Hello and welcome to my easy to understand guide to his dark materials and representation. This video is going to be particularly relevant for you if you are studying AQA GCSE Media Studies as it currently appears as a set text on that spec. The set episode for study is Series 2, Episode 1, and we're going to start by having a look at the representation of women. For the most part in this episode, women are represented as challenging stereotypes that we often see in the rest of the media. Women are often shown as quite submissive, quite weak, quite overtly feminine, and much weaker in comparison to men, whereas in this set episode, they're shown as quite strong, powerful, and dominant. Lyra herself is a very powerful, dominant young woman. She wears a utilitarian jumpsuit, which is very practical and is not overly sexualized or objectifying her. We see her easily overpowering Will in one of the opening scenes, and that makes her seem quite physically strong. And she doesn't seem to want or need any help for the most part, so she's not dependent on men to survive. The female witches are also very powerful as well. They obviously have magic powers. We see them through low angles looking up at them, which makes them seem very dominant too. One of the witches is even tortured, but she still manages to stay really strong throughout that torture. And the witch actually defeats the gods as well. So women really represented as quite strong. Mrs. Coulter is very strong as well. She is seen in quite a feminine way, much more feminine than the other female characters. So we see her wearing dresses, wearing brighter colours, but she's not maternal, she's not domestic, and they're quite stereotypical representations of women in the media. She's seen as quite nasty, quite dominant, and plays a very villainous role in the story. She's very unemotional and she's very manipulative. Interestingly, when Mrs. Coulter starts to torture the witch, she takes off her earrings very carefully beforehand. And this perhaps suggests that you cannot be feminine and violent at the same time. It's almost as if she has to shed her femininity in order to be violent and evil. So the women in the story are very strong overall and defy a lot of stereotypes, but we do still see this world as being quite patriarchal overall. The cardinals, for example, they're dressed in these kind of long, dominant, powerful looking robes. We see them in dark, low-key lighting. It makes it clear that they are very powerful in this world and very aggressive. The cardinals refer to a character as this woman. So dehumanizing her, it makes it clear that they don't really care about women. They don't see them as important. Some male characters do defy this stereotype though. You have much more caring, emotional characters like Will. We see Will expressing his emotions several times. He's very kind, he's very helpful to Lyra. He's almost like her sidekick. He's not the hero of this story. He's there to assist her. We see him protecting a cat, which makes him seem very caring and nurturing. He cooks for Lyra as well, so we're seeing him in a domestic way, which is a way we typically see women in the media. So Will's character challenges our ideas about masculinity. By contrast, Lyra is not shown as domestic at all. She attempts to cook for Will and clearly does a very bad job. It's obvious that she has no experience. So challenging the stereotypes that women are domestic. Lee is a bit more traditionally masculine. He seems quite physically active, quite brave, going on lots of adventures. So quite mixed representations of men in the episode. If we have a look at the representations of class in the episode, there's a very clear class divide within the characters. We see poorer characters living on the streets, taking care of themselves, the abandoned children, for example. It's very clear that they are supposed to be working class or lower class. And as an audience, we're encouraged to feel sympathy for them and position ourselves alongside people like Lyra and Will, who don't really have very much to their names. And then you get the opposite, the binary opposition here with people like the cardinals, who are very clearly supposed to be more upper class within this episode. We see them drinking out of goblets, having wine, clearly supposed to be much richer. And they are obviously supposed to be the villains in the story. Let's have a look at the representation of age in the episode as well. And certainly most of the kind of good characters, the protagonists, are children. So we're very clearly supposed to see young people as heroes, young people as good. And the young people are very independent and mature, which is something that challenges the stereotypes of young people we often see in the media. We often think of children as being immature and dependent on adults to survive, whereas these children are taking care of themselves when there are no adults to take care of them. And young teenagers are often represented as dangerous, as bad, and yet these kind of young teenagers are represented as mature and independent, and wanting to improve the world. Some of the children are represented as more aggressive and dangerous, for example, those that attack the cat. And that perhaps reinforces some stereotypes we see. But it also helps to see and emphasise to us as an audience how wild these children are, that they've been left to themselves and that they don't have any rules. The adults in the episode are generally represented as villains. They're dangerous, they're evil, they're nasty, and they don't care. And so perhaps the representations in this episode are designed to target a younger audience. If we have a look at the representation of race and ethnicity, it's quite a diverse cast in terms of the different ethnic groups represented amongst the characters. And this diversity may seem really positive to some audiences, especially those audiences who feel that their race or their ethnic group maybe isn't represented typically in the media. So it might give them certain role models and it might make them feel like they're being represented. Of course, to some audiences, it may feel like tokenism, perhaps the producers putting in people from diverse backgrounds in order to seem like they're more politically correct. This series is based on an existing book, and some of the characters in the TV series have been cast against race in comparison to the race that they were in the book. So, for example, Will and Lord Boreal. Some audiences are going to enjoy this. This adds a bit more diversity, and some audiences reject this kind of casting against ethnicity because they feel it is tokenism and they want representations to be more loyal to the books. But the actual episode doesn't really tackle anything to do with racism or discrimination within the narrative. It almost kind of pretends that those things don't exist within this world. It also could reflect the fact that the BBC is a public service broadcaster, and part of their remit is that they have to include diversity in their programming. Demons, or the magical creatures that accompany some of the characters, are represented as important and special in some way. Lots of shots, these animals are in the extreme foreground. Our attention is drawn to them, and it is obvious that they are going to play a very important role in the narrative. So that was my easy to understand guide to representation in His Dark Materials. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for other videos that are going to be relevant for you. And if you would like a video that I don't already have, leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do.